Good morning, I'm Edward Krim here with Schiller's, and I'm here to show you how to clean the sensor on a DSLR camera. This is a Nikon D810, and I've selected it because it's great, big, and beautiful. We're going to show you how to clean it. So let's get started on the proper method for cleaning a sensor. First of all, of course, you have to have the camera whose sensor you want to clean, and you need to have a freshly charged battery in it. None of these cameras will allow you to flip the mirror up and open the shutter to get at the sensor unless you have a fully charged battery. That option in your menu will be grayed out. So, fully charged battery, we've got a lens, long focal length. I usually use a lens of about 100 millimeters. And we've got a flash. We're going to photograph a white board as our test subject so that we can reveal any dust or dirt that might be on the sensor. I set the flash to manual. I set the camera to ISO 400. I set the aperture to f/22, and I make sure this little diffuser's down, and I photograph a white board. I photograph that white board, and then I adjust the levels to show me any kind of anomaly that's not white. And instantly, dust, dirt, hairs, spots of oil, all of these things show up. So if you've been letting your cat sleep on your camera, we're going to know it here at Schiller's. Okay, let's get started. First of all, we take a test photo, which I do with the camera and the flash. I've got it all set up. Turn the camera on. I make sure there's a memory card in it, and I take a picture at the settings that I mentioned before, f/22, ISO 400, and then I pull the card out, put it in my computer, and we take a look at that image. I do an auto levels adjustment, and bam, the dust pops right on out. And you would not believe what some of these sensors look like after you've left it under the bed for 3 weeks. Don't do that again. Then, once we've seen where the dirt and the dust are, it's time to clean the sensor. We're going to remove the lens. I usually use a micro Nikkor 105, sorry. About that focal length, so I get as even a light over the entire frame as possible. And we're going to use these special orange cleaning swabs from a Canadian company called Visible Dust. These are the best that I have used, and I have tried pretty much all of them. The orange ones are specifically for the Nikon cameras. There's some sort of coating on the sensor that makes them not really like these green ones very well. The green ones I use on pretty much everything else but Nikon, and they come wrapped individually in these relatively easy to open packages. They're put together in a clean room, so you know they're clean. I've never had an issue with these scratching a sensor. So we go to the camera's menu, and we go to the setup option, setup menu, and we go to lock mirror up for cleaning. And I select that, I hit start, and I hit start again, and I hit start a third time, and then I hit the shutter release. Now I've got my mirror up, shutter open, sensor available. Why, you ask, would you not just use B for bulb and open it up the shutter with the sensor available? And the reason is, if you do that, if your camera's on and you're actually taking a picture, there will be a charge on that sensor that will attract more dust in. So you don't want to do that. Then we open up our swab, and we're going to use this Eclipse optic cleaning fluid. This is an alcohol-based fluid. It is inflammable. Please don't smoke while you're doing this. And we're going to put some onto the swab, both sides of the swab, and then we're going to run it across the sensor. This is a 24 millimeter swab, which is the height of the sensor. And we're going to come to one end of the sensor, and we're going to move that swab all the way down to the other. I'm going to flip the swab over and use the other side and do the same thing. Fairly quick motion all the way down. turn off the camera, and then we will do a second photo to make sure that we've gotten all the dust and dirt off. So, lens on, and in an ecumenical spirit, we're going to put a Canon flash onto a Nikon camera. And I always use the flash in manual mode at a certain setting so that it doesn't try to underexpose on the white board. So I always set the camera to 125th of a second, the aperture to f/22, and my flash set to manual to take a picture. I also bring down the wide-angle diffuser to make the light as even as possible over the entire field, and I point the head down to its -7-degree setting on the flash. Take a second picture, and then we're going to look at that second picture in a photo editing program doing an auto levels adjustment, which will make those dirt and dust spots really pop out. A couple of other ways to clean your sensors that many people will try to employ. One is canned air. No, do not use canned air. Canned air can be used for a variety of things, but it has a tendency to spray out Freon on things like that. If you hold the can level when you have to clean things with it and spray like that, you won't get any Freon spraying out, but still I would not recommend using compressed air. It is possible that it will damage the shutter, according to camera repair people, and it's also very likely that you will get some residue of the Freon that's in here onto your camera's sensor. The blower bulbs can be useful for blowing things out of the camera. Typically though, what I found is if I use it on a sensor, I'm frequently blowing as much dirt into the camera as I am out of the camera. And let's face it, the dirt has to go somewhere. A technique that many people will use is to have the camera upside down so that the dirt is going to be going down, pulled down by gravity, we hope, and then blow into it like that. This is very useful for dislodging bits of dust and dirt and hair on the mirror or the focusing screen. I have found it to be not particularly effective at cleaning the sensor itself. You can, on Nikon cameras, very easily, by turning this dial right here to mirror lockup and then hitting any shutter speed, lock the mirror up with the shutter closed, get in there and blow dust and dirt out of the mirror box, and then by just turning the camera off, bring it back down again without having fired the shutter. This can be useful for cleaning out the mirror box because frequently dust and dirt can get into the mirror box that then when you're trying to clean the sensor will actually get in on the sensor. There are some of these blowers that I've seen that have a filter on the backside because this is where the air is coming in, this is where it's going out. If dusty, dirty air is coming in, well then guess what, folks? Dusty, dirty air is going out. Brushes. Should you use a brush on your camera's sensor? Well, brushes can be very effective. This is a set of brushes from a company called Visible Dust in Canada, our Canadian friends. And it's called the Arctic Butterfly. It comes with a little spinner. It's kind of mesmerizing. But the idea is that this spinner puts a slight static charge onto the brush that then when you go across the sensor, it causes it to pick up any dust or dirt that's on the sensor. This works pretty well actually if it's mostly dust. If you have some spots of oil on your sensor, and Nikon cameras are particularly notorious for doing that, spraying little bits of oil over the sensor when they're in their adolescence, before the shutter has had time to mature properly. Then what you're going to do is you're going to smear those bits of oil around and you're going to get bits of oil on your brush, which you really don't want. My own personal experience has been that the swabs clean much better and because they're disposable, we don't have to worry about cleaning the cleaning material. If you find the thought of cleaning your own camera sensor a little bit intimidating, what with the possibility of scratching it, damaging the shutter, damaging the mirror, all of these things can happen, feel free to bring your camera here to Schiller's and let the experts do it.